There we go.
And you're one.
Hi, I'm TJ Woods. Have you ever had a case of poison ivy and not known how to get rid of it? I recently suffered from one of the worst cases of poison ivy my doctor has seen. My doctor shared with me that if he had to give out an award for the worst case of poison ivy, I would win that award. After having such an award-winning case, it made me interested to find out the best ways to avoid and treat poison ivy. Statistics say that 85% of the population are allergic to poison ivy, which tells us that a lot of people can have a reaction and not even know they're allergic. Today I want to inform you on the best ways to avoid poison ivy, recognize symptoms of poison ivy, and treat poison ivy once you've got it. First, let's start with how to avoid poison ivy in the wild or even in your backyard. In order to avoid poison ivy, you must first know what it looks like. A very brief description is a 3-leaf green plant with woody vines. And you could find it, of course, in the wild, in the woods, and those kind of things. But you could also find it in the corner of your backyard or at your local frisbee golf course. That's how I got my last case of poison ivy. There are certain tips to help you avoid poison ivy. You want to try and stay away from it first, but if you know you're going to be outside working or hiking and those kind of things, you want to wear long pants and long sleeves. You also might try wearing a protective cream. I found that Ivy Shield works pretty well. If you somehow do come into contact with it, you want to shower and scrub the affected area immediately. If you do happen to notice some symptoms, and there are certain ways to identify and manage an outbreak. One of the first signs of poison ivy is red streaks where you first touched poison ivy. The skin will then form red bumps that will turn into red raised blisters that will secrete and ooze fluid. Some people think you can spread poison ivy through the oozing, but you can only get poison. It is only from where you first came into contact with poison ivy, and it can take anywhere from 48 hours to several days to see the first signs of poison ivy. It really depends on how much or how extreme your contact to poison ivy was, and it depends on the person as well. Treatment of poison ivy is a very tedious and difficult task, I found out. I mentioned before that you want to wash the affected area immediately using Tecnu. I found worked for me. You also want to shower a couple of times a day, and you want to pat the affected areas dry. You do not want to rub them. It would only irritate your skin more. You also want to apply calamine lotion to the area. I find that helps stop the itching. You also want to stay out of the heat. I know it's summer and it's kind of hard to do that, but try as hard as you can. You want to keep your skin dry and cool. If an outbreak seems to be lasting a couple of weeks, you may want to see a doctor. I had to go see a doctor for my case. It had gotten that bad, and he prescribed a steroid pack, a steroid shot, and also a cream. And after all that, it still lasted a month. So in conclusion, it is important to know what poison ivy looks like and how to treat poison ivy in case you do come into contact with it. I know I wish I knew a little bit more before I spent the last month treating my case of poison ivy. I think it is a good idea to be well educated about poison ivy and its symptoms and how to treat it. I hope I've been helpful and shared some useful tips on poison ivy today. Thank you.